Hello, my name is Paul Marchbanks, and this is Digging in the Dirt, with a retrospective on Dorothy Arzner's 1940 film, Dance, Girl, Dance. I'm going to indulge in a bit of nostalgia and then some critical analysis, but I promise not to spoil the entire plot. I think my love of dance was born the first time I saw Michael Jackson's show-stopping music video for Thriller during a break in ninth grade glee club. I had virtually no experience of dance up to that point. I'd not seen any musicals on either stage or in the movie theater, hadn't taken a dance class, and had not yet attended my friends' dance recitals. The closest I'd come to experiencing the beauty of choreographed kinesis probably involved gymnastics. I was no gymnast myself. I remember watching a friend demonstrate his strength and flexibility in elementary school, and even more importantly, watching a montage of Nadia Comaneci's routines compiled by the Wide World of Sports in the mid-70s, set to the music Cotton's Dream. To this day, what is now popularly known as Nadia's theme, a huge factor in my wanting to learn to play piano at a young age, instantly transports me to a vision of spinning limbs and gravity-defying leaps. My own experience with dance has remained minimal. I danced in the high school show choir for 3 years, took ballroom dancing with Tracy in both college and grad school, and when the girls were little, enjoyed playing Dance Dance Revolution, a video game famously parodied in Edgar Wright's Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. These days, Tracy and I indulge in Just Dance once a week, though we plan to one day venture outside the garage and again whirl together across a polished floor. Why do I remain fascinated with an artistic medium I barely understand and fear touching upon in those literature classrooms that invite interdisciplinary discussions of music, painting, and sculpture? Playing piano for the Austin Contemporary Ballet for a single year back in the 90s, and later learning a few dance terms during my daughter's years competing in artistic gymnastics have barely made a dent in my considerable ignorance. Perhaps it's this very lack of expertise that allows the art form to seem so magical to me. If I'd actually broken down my own body on the dance floor and made the kinds of physical and emotional sacrifices I've seen dramatized in films about dancing, my appreciation of professional routines, like those I saw yesterday at Cal Poly, would take on another character entirely. Dance combines flexibility, balance, endurance, and precision in a mesmerizing combination that hides the cost in effort and concentration with smiling faces and delicate hand movements. The craft delights spectators awed by displays of power, thrills those who appreciate risk-taking feats that imperil the body's well-being, and enchants those fascinated by synchronicity and grace. Dancing also provides opportunities for goggling at the beauty of that athletic and disciplined body, which is less covered than it might be in other public venues. Like the three-dimensional rendering of a nude found in a local park or a lifelike representation on oils and canvas encountered in the art museum, the stage invites opportunities for the eye to trace the contours of a honed and refined human form, in addition to tracing the complex patterned movements of that form. Beauty involving the body always extends this possibility. If we so choose, we can allow sexual considerations to not only heighten but utterly overwhelm other factors. My two daughters' experience with gymnastics drove this home in distressing ways. I should begin by noting that their own experience was incredibly safe, positive, and rewarding. They owe much of their self-discipline, courage, and team-building skills to gymnastics. I highly recommend the sport. However, our family's foray into this particular sport also introduced us to all kinds of potential dangers, and I'm not talking about the sort involved in doing a backflip on a 4-inch wide beam 4 feet off the ground. No, I'm referring to learning that as the official meet photographer, I had to be careful about the particular shots I took during a tumbling run, lest some unscrupulous individual turn an innocent photograph into something disturbing on the internet, and this despite the fact that my photos are always password protected. I had to watch my own girls processing news stories about professionals like Larry Nassar, a medical physician who abused the trust handed him by scores of gymnasts and their families. And I had to attend meets hosted by casinos in Las Vegas, where our team's young girls, dressed in sequined leotards, passed similarly attired adults intent on providing a very different kind of experience. What is it that determines how we perceive and process a beautiful body in motion? Some will contest that we have little say in how we respond. Hardwired biological imperatives and individually tailored aesthetic preferences predetermining an instinctive array of physiological and psychological responses to such visual stimuli. Dorothy Arzner's second-to-last film, Dance Girl Dance, suggests otherwise, providing audiences with a surprisingly direct unmasking of the heteronormative, objectifying male gaze 35 years before film critic Laura Mulvey famously articulated the same problem in the essay Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema. Using psychoanalytic theory, Mulvey would spotlight ways in which a patriarchal industry had methodically sexualized female subjects on screen for decades, encouraging a scopophilic practice of finding sexual pleasure in subjecting women on camera to a controlling and curious gaze. Dance Girl Dance accomplishes something similar by offering 4 markedly distinctive dance performances shaped by very different audience demands, and making sure the camera captures those widely divergent audience reactions. Arzner spotlights not only the performance, but the onlookers, encouraging the film's viewers to question how they themselves react to such forms of entertainment. The film opens in a club called the Palais Royal that collects middle-class couples eager to kick back after a long week while pretty girls high-kick their way across the stage. The performers, garbed in glittering black dresses and top hats, draw the cocktail-imbibing crowd's scattered attention, but catch no catcalls or lewd remarks. When the police interrupt the show to close down some illegal gambling in the club's back room and arrest the owner, the patrons respectfully take up a collection to pay the performers who are in danger of being left high and dry. Unfortunately for the dancing troupe, paying jobs are in scarce supply, forcing their instructor and manager, a former member of the Russian Ballet, to become what she mournfully calls a flesh peddler. Case in point, the owner of a club in Hoboken shows up wanting a hulu act, only he's not seeking the sort of routine that respects the ancient Hawaiian tradition of kahiko. He wants a westernized, flirtatious variant that emphasizes a woman's bare midriff and her undulating curves. A boisterous dancer, known only by her stage name, provides what he seeks, announcing her tardy appearance with a provocative claim that, "I ain't got an ounce of class, sugar, honest." Bubbles, played by an aggressively wanton Lucille Ball, pulls her grass skirt down further than her companions have, dons her most enticing come-hither look, and regularly thwacks her butt for good measure during her audition. We know her potential client will buy what she's selling well before he explodes with excitement by the way his eyes, framed in a close-up by Arzner's camera, travel up and down her body appreciatively. If Madame Bachelova had her way, she'd instead spend her efforts training her most promising students, like Judy, for the ballet. Arzner grants more time to a ballet rehearsal than she's given to either of the previous dance performances, capturing a professional production company as they rehearse an innovative ballet that visually narrates the transformation of a fairy princess into a modern urban woman. With the assistance of screenwriter and dance choreographer Marion Morgan, Arzner's partner in both business and life, the production captures the grandeur of a performance disrupted only by the discerning feedback of the director and his 2 assistants. This, the film suggests, is dancing at its height. Strength and skill honed to near perfection, a program intended for the connoisseur. A similarly large stage on Broadway provides the ballet with what Arzner clearly intends as its antithesis, a burlesque show that attracts primarily men, retirees, young sailors, a few high-class gentlemen dressed to the nines, and the occasional middle-class husband attending with his wife. The Bailey brothers, who run things, create shows to titillate the wandering libido, offering, supposedly, an antidote for the sexually disaffected, an opportunity to fantasize without risking anything personal. The star performer feigns a childish persona of vulnerability and sexual ignorance that gets patrons excited as they imagine themselves educating the beautiful and inexperienced woman prancing within arm's reach. Matters get even more unsettling with the insertion of a second performer whose classy ballet routine is intended to frustrate the audience, which predictably throws objects and aspersions alike at the elegant performer. The irony of the situation is unmistakable. The men repeatedly shout at the second performer to go home to mama, criticizing the same youthfulness and naivete that they were salivating over moments earlier. Truth be told, the ballerina actually shows more skin than her predecessor whenever she pirouettes. The problem appears to lie in her boldly performing art that is not an invitation to intimacy, either real or imagined. What do you think? What are your favorite types of dance performance, and why?